Hey, welcome to the first video of 2024. If you're new to the channel, my name is Andre. I'm a positioning strategist. I have helped 50 or so startups to product market fit. And today we're here to talk about just that. So the challenges when it comes to building product market fit, because we know product market fit is the holy grail of startups. And you can't scale if you don't have product market fit. So yeah, this is today's topic. If you can't acquire, if you can't convert, if you can't retain users, if you can't build enough traction to get investor attention, you have a good product, but somehow the users don't see it, you're in the right place. And if you're looking for funny cat videos, here is one for you. That started off well. So today we're going to have this conversation, and I do mean conversation. Feel free to comment on whether you agree or disagree. But we're going to have this conversation that 90% of startups fail, and I believe there is a simple solution to revert that statistic to have basically 90% of startups succeed. So throughout this video, you'll learn why, but we'll start by looking at what product market fit even is, why it's so difficult to build, what are some of the common mistakes that founders do when building a startup and how to solve them. By the end of the video, you'll know exactly how to build product market fit for your startup. Plus, I'll be sharing some templates and resources throughout the video, but at random points, so that you'll have to watch through the whole video and the YouTube algorithm will love me. All right, let's get started. What is product market fit? Well, let me tell you, Marc Andreessen, who is credited with coming up with this mental model, didn't really think about that one. He didn't come up with a good definition of product market fit. It's usually described by people who have achieved it with "you'll know when you have it" with a smirky face. But I don't like that definition. So for me, product market fit means you have found a good market that wants a solution and your product is that solution. So you need to have a market that wants a solution to a problem that they have, and you need to be that solution. Having a strong product market fit means that buyers or users are coming into your product, they engage with your product, they buy your product, and potentially they're even vocal about it on social media and with their friends. And how does that feel on the company side is basically what to say to the customers to get them to buy. Your onboarding works, your sales numbers are good, your marketing works well. People use your product. You can see the engagement in product analytics, and they're leaving positive reviews on, across social media and on review sites like G2 and Capterra. So in short, no acquisition problems, no conversion problems, no retention problems, and a Lambo in your driveway. Right, sounds easy enough. So why is product market fit so difficult to build? Well, for one, there are tons of moving parameters, right? You have your audience, your market, like things are constantly changing. User behavior is changing, user needs are changing. So it's difficult to get, to a point where you are satisfying an exact need that the user has at the right time with your product, that it's exactly in the right stage, right? So that's, I think, one of the biggest reasons why it's so difficult to build product market fit. But more importantly, I think that the way we build startups is simply wrong. Basically, our step-by-step instructions on how to build the startups are in the wrong order. We're building the startups the wrong way around, because here is a typical founder story. Imagine a startup founder just like yourself. You probably found a problem, that you decided it was worth solving, right? You saw that there is a problem on the market. You saw, something about the customers doing things in a certain way that you thought, hey, this could be done so much better. Or you found a product that you said, oh, we could do this so much better if we just had a product a bit slightly different, right? So you had this idea and you build the product around that idea. And that's the wrong way around. Because surprise, surprise, the customers didn't come on their own when you build the product around that idea. So you're now trying to find the market that fits your product, right? So you started with an idea, you build the product around that idea, and now you're trying to find the market is. But you don't know who exactly the customer audience is. You probably don't even know if the market exists. And the problem is that 42% of startups fail because the market simply doesn't need their solutions. That means, users are just not interested in having a problem solved. They might even realize that it's a problem, they just don't need it solved. It's not painful enough. And then the further 29% of startups fail because they run out of money, which means they couldn't find enough people who are prepared to pay for the product to be turned into a sustainable business. So that means that 71% of startups fail because they never achieve product market fit, right? And so the goal is here really to basically build that product market fit. And I think that we could easily turn that statistics around by simply reordering the way we do startups, by building value first startups. All right, so building value first startup sounds great, but what is it, right? What does that even mean? So here is the logic, right? We start building the product with the idea, we build the product around that idea, then we try to find the market for that product. I think we could turn that around if we find our value first. Basically, we define the value proposition first and we build the product around that value. So we don't start building a startup with an idea and the product and then find a market for it, but we find a value, something that the users are prepared to spend money on, and then build a product around that value, right? In that case, the focus is on creating value, and the product is just a tool that delivers that value. And if you have a value at the core of your business, this helps you stay focused on delivering that value. So that means that you can create much, much better products because, the product's job is simply to get users to the value, to that aha moment. So with value first startups, you have a shorter time to the aha moment. So, where the user experiences that eye-opening moment and converts. You also don't have any problems with creating a killer value proposition because you already did that before you even started building the product, right? So the most difficult part, how to attract customers, is solved for you before you even begin. Same goes for investments. You can clearly articulate where you're providing value for your customers, which means that you can easily explain to a VC why it would be a good idea to invest in you, which means, now you're getting money. Getting money is that much easier if you have a defined value proposition from the start. So all parts of your job, getting customers, converting customers, retaining customers, getting money from investors would be easier if we just build value first startups. And imagine making money without even having a product. You can easily create value without having a product, right? Without building, a software solution that costs you 50K or whatever. For example, I was speaking to a friend of mine, a consultant, and he has a colleague who ran a marketplace on Facebook manually before building it into a product. So, he basically started doing deals. He found a niche in the market. He saw that people need something and the other people need something, so he connected them just through Facebook groups, right? And he started making transactions and making money of these transactions. And basically that was just a Facebook group. It doesn't cost you anything, right? So he was making money through that and scaling manually, right? He was basically just manually working through Facebook. And when he got enough money from the deals, you can now use that money to build an actual marketplace. So that's what he did. But the product was just it was just a better way to delivering that transaction, right? It wasn't, he didn't start from an idea and just started building the product and spending 50K on the product. He started creating value, getting money, and then using that money to build the product. So by finding your value first, or by creating value before you even start building a startup, you can be profitable, making money without even having the expense of a product. And I think that what's preventing us from doing that, from building or from creating value first, is that products are sexy. We want to build products, right? We think we're searching for product market fit, and we think that product market fit has something to do with the product because, well, it's in the fucking name, right? But the reality is that the product doesn't have anything to do, or very little to do with actually coming to product market fit. It doesn't have a lot to do with finding that best customer and creating the value for the customer. It just needs to be good enough to deliver value to the customer, and that's it. As long as the product is good enough and it delivers value, you can find product market fit. But it doesn't have to be a highly sophisticated product, yet we're spending 80%, 90% of time focused just on building the products, where the reality is that the customers don't give a shit about your product. They're there for the benefits. They're there for that value, for that unique value that your product can provide, can give them, not for the product itself. For example, at my last startup, we were working on a mobile app that helps dyslexic children learn to read. Our project leader, she had this amazing method of color coding letters, and that helped dyslexic children read fluently faster. And the way we delivered that value was through color coding texts, right? So you had a text and you had a mobile app that would color some of the letters based on an algorithm, and so that dyslexics had an easier time identifying the letters, and then led to fluency. Now, we could have easily done this in, for example, a newsletter format, right? So our product could actually have been, we send you weekly stories with color-coded texts, and basically every Saturday morning, and you subscribe to that service. That would provide the same value for the users, right? Would the users care if the product is a weekly newsletter versus, a mobile app? I don't think so, because the value is still the same for them, right? They would still be prepared to pay that, $10 a month, just like they did for a mobile app. So the mobile app was really the optimal way of delivering the value, but the customers themselves, they didn't really care whether, the product was a mobile app versus a weekly newsletter. So you can see how the product doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's just the most effective way of delivering the value to your customers. So, we should really be more focused. I think in startups, we really should be more focused on building value instead of, building products. Now, does that mean that you're fucked if you already built a product? No, obviously. It just means that, now you have a product, you'll need to find what the real unique value that your software provides is, and then communicate that with your customers. You'll need to make sure that, you know, the specific customer segment you want to attract sees the value that your product provides for them. Potentially that means that, you know, you might be, sometimes with my clients, we see the need of changing, you know, of making adjustments to the product, the adjustments that wouldn't be necessary if we built product value first startups, or, you know, if we built a product around that value, but that doesn't mean that you can't find it. In fact, I didn't yet see a startup that's completely useless, you know, leaving aside those Me Too products that are complete copycats. But I haven't worked with a client yet that you know, that their product wouldn't have something unique we could find to attract customers. And I'm here to help you out. You know, I'll put a link to my positioning framework in the description of this video, where you can use the framework to find your unique value for free. The whole framework is on Miraverse, published for free, no pay gates or anything. So just follow the link, give it a like so the algorithm will like me, and that's it. So to summarize, product market fit in SaaS is difficult to build because there is a lot of moving parameters, but mostly we think about the products too much and we don't think about value enough. And we should be focusing on building value first startups, which means finding the one unique value before you start building the product, and then you build the product around that value. And the product in that case becomes just the best, the most optimized way of delivering that value to your customers. That's what will get your product to product market fit every single time. But let's see if the creator of product market fit, of the product market fit model, agrees with that. We'll talk about him next. Oh, and I almost forgot, subscribe to the channel. Apparently, I went through a video course on how to grow a YouTube channel. So basically, apparently you have to ask your viewers to subscribe to the channel a lot. So subscribe to my channel so YouTube will like me and you'll get more videos just like this delivered to your feed. Do it now. So in this part of the video, we'll be talking about the creator of the product market fit model, the one who created, you know, the holy grail of startups, and we'll analyze what he says is the key to achieving product market fit. By the end of this video, I'll share a template exercise you can do to improve your customer acquisition. But, you know, let's start with this. Partly, I blame Marc Andreessen, the creator of product market fit model, for the bad statistics that startups get, because, you know, not properly defining what product market fit even is, not specifying the metrics, the KPIs, even the name. I think a lot of it, you know, a lot of the bad statistics is because he named the model product market fit. So, you know, we get all tingly and excited about products where, you know, it should really be called value market fit. And so maybe we would be thinking about value first instead of the products, right? So I think that as a creator, he didn't really do a great job of guiding us to product market fit, right? He created something and said, you know, deal with it, there it is. Now you try to find this thing and I'll go and, you know, make some tea or something. Anyway, Marc says that, you know, the key to product market fit isn't the product. It's not even the team that the investors are so interested in, it's the market. He claims that, you know, the market is the most important part when building a startup. And I partly agree, because, you know, if there is no market need, if people don't want your solution is doomed. You can't convince somebody to do something he doesn't want to do, not on a mass scale, not, you know, in a way that it builds a sustainable business. But, and this is a huge but, I have yet to see a product that has no future at all. In all of my clients' cases, we always find a benefit in their product that a customer segment values. And we can use that to position the product and gain traction. As long as you can anchor your positioning to something, you can find a value that, the customers will care about. So, even the market is not entirely to blame, because it's almost impossible that you made something so useless that nobody saw any value in your product. Now, let's dive deeper. There are three main components to successful startups: the product, the team, and the market. Now, let me quickly stop your thinking. The product is not the most important thing when it comes to successful startups. In fact, I would argue that, the product is the least important of them all. And I'll get to that later, why that is. Now, the VCs, the investors, are mostly looking for good teams. They say that, a good team will find a good market and, create a good product, for that market. So if you have a good enough team, it will be, capable of identifying a good market and creating a product that fits that market. Now, Marc Andreessen says that the market is the most important thing. So, not the team, not the product, but the market. Because in a good market, the product can be crap, the team can be crap, and it will still sell. While in a dead market, even a great team, with a great product doesn't do well. Which for me is true in the short term. In the short term, the market dictates whether your product will sell or won't sell. But, and here's where I don't agree with Marc, in the long run, the market is switchable, and a good team will outperform the market every single time. Now let me explain so that you understand where I'm coming from. One of my clients was in the educational space, an educational Chrome extension that helps you improve your English while you're browsing the net. And so, a language learning Chrome extension. Now, the edtech space is a complex space with, it's a difficult market to be in, it's a difficult market to sell in, it's slow moving. And the team was struggling to attract, convert, and retain users. Now, when I came into the company, we did product analytics. So I always start with an audit. So we checked the product analytics and we checked the user interviews that the team did. And we quickly saw that, there are three types of users that come into the product. Now, some of the users hated our guts. Basically, they were very loud. They wrote bad reviews on the web store, even called the product a scam. There was, next there was a large segment of users that, just didn't care. Basically, they used the extension but weren't prepared to pay any money for the product. And then there was a segment that immediately understood the product and converted. So basically, these people came onto a landing page, clicked on a button, downloaded, installed the extension, and used it for 5 minutes and converted. So our solution was to understand who these people are. So people who love the product, who immediately convert, who are they? And how do they use the product? Now, what was interesting was that we found that these people were using the extension, but not as a learning tool, but as a productivity tool. Basically, they were using the same features as anybody else, but with a completely different use case altogether. So our idea was to reposition the product from a language learning tool to a productivity tool. Basically going from, improve English while browsing to expand your English vocabulary, boost productivity, and perform better at your job. And as we did that, we immediately gained 12 times more people into the product instantly with a landing page test. By the way, if you're looking to, create a really good value proposition that attracts clients, I'm sharing a template in the description of this video So go to the link, completely free. You'll have to opt in, but do the exercise and you'll find how to write a killer value proposition for your startup. And by the way, subscribe to the channel so that YouTube loves me. Anyway, looking at Marc Andreessen's theory, he said that the most important thing is the market. When we are building the startup, the most important thing is the market. But we switched the market. The market we were in, edtech, is difficult and slow, but productivity apps do great, right? So we simply switched our markets. Same thing, with Apple's VR headset that they're releasing now in 2024. Apple Vision Pro is basically a VR headset, virtual reality headset. But the VR market, it's such a shit market to be in because there is so much hype around it, every 5 years or so, but there is no real value created. And I can tell you that from a first-hand experience because my first startup was a VR AR studio. And so basically we were developing VR games and marketing experiences. Anyway, think of it like this. VR is not a good market to be in. So Apple positioned the product, their VR headset, under a spatial computing category. So it's a computer, but not a VR headset, right? They removed themselves from a bad market by creating a subcategory of an existing market, the computers. By the way, don't do that if you're not Apple. The product is still the same, but they anchored it, they positioned it differently. So, they switched to a more favorable market, which is computing, and it's trending up ever since COVID, as opposed to VR, which, isn't. So I would argue that the most important thing when it comes to building a startup is to be adaptable and find that value that makes you unique. Everything else can change. You can switch the markets, you can change the team, you can definitely change and develop a different product. But at the end of the day, you'll need all three: a good team capable of doing good decisions, a good market that understands your product, and a product that actually delivers value to their users every single time. And if you have that, there is no limit where you can go. But remember, customer acquisition, conversion, retention, it starts with value. So your first job should be creating a killer value proposition. And so if writing a killer value proposition is so important, let's talk about this next. So in the next part of the video, we'll be talking about creating a value proposition that will attract, convert, and retain your users. It's difficult, isn't it? Coming up with a sentence, a few words that say exactly what you want to say and give the users the right context so that they're attracted to that message and convert into paying clients. In this video, we'll be talking about that process, because if you're struggling to acquire users, chances are that you don't have a value proposition that works, and you are starting the process of creating a killer value proposition at the wrong end. See, we don't start the value proposition writing with the actual writing. There is a bit more prep to that. So in this video, you'll learn what you need to do to write a killer value proposition. Plus, I'll share a template so you can shorten that process as much as possible. Now, let's start by defining what value proposition really is. I like to think of a value proposition as a promise to your customer. It's basically what your product will help your customer achieve. That's basically what value proposition is. It's, we will deliver that value to you, whatever that value is. So let's say that the value is staying accountable with our CRM. So that's our value proposition. Our AI-powered CRM will keep you accountable. Now, in that case, being accountable is a value that the customer actually cares about. Now, the main thing to consider here is when I talk to the founders, most of them blame the customer acquisition problem on the product. So the product is not attracting users. But people not responding to your ads, people not responding to your social media efforts, people not responding to your message is not the product's fault, because the user hasn't seen the product yet. Yet, founders often blame the product for that, thinking that, the product is not good enough. We need to change this. We need to change that. We need to add that feature and whatever. The problem is that, if people are not reacting to your posts, your social media efforts, that just means that, they're not attracted to the message, because that's what they see. They're not attracted to your value proposition. So your value proposition should be the one taking the blame here, and you should be working on creating a better value proposition, not improving your product. This is another thing where, we focus on developing the products where we in reality should be developing the value propositions and our presentations of that product, because the customer probably didn't even see the product. The customer they didn't convert from a landing page to the product. They didn't convert from an ad to the landing page. So they only saw the ad, not the product. The product has nothing to do with that. Now, there are 3 main reasons why you can't write a good value proposition. One, you simply don't have enough data on your clients. Basically, you need to go out and do more customer interviews. What do they want to achieve? What do they want to do? What are they willing to sacrifice? What are their jobs to be done? What are their wishes, needs, emotional needs, and all of that should be somewhere in your customer persona, so that when you're creating content, when you're creating your value proposition, that stuff. You should have that data. So if you don't have that data, if you're not if you don't have that data and validate it, so if that data doesn't come from the users themselves, you need to go back to doing interviews. You need to understand your ICP better. 2, the next reason why you can't write a good value proposition is you can't keep it short. Basically, how to explain your product, how to attract people to your product, but it takes too long a time. It takes 5 minutes of a call, or it takes half a landing page. That just means you don't understand the problem that you're solving from the customer's viewpoint well enough, good enough. You have too much knowledge on the actual solution. You have too much knowledge on the industry or the solution itself, but you don't understand how the customer sees and understands and feels the problem. You don't know how the customers are thinking about it, so you don't know what's important for them in this moment. What's the one thing that's going to attract them, to hook them, to check the landing page out, to see your product video, to do a demo call. So your job, if this is true, if you can convert the user in a 5-minute pitch, if they eventually understand what you're talking about, you should really spend more time focusing on understanding what's really important for the user, and you should really put more effort into trying to find the empathy so you can understand the user's point of view on a certain problem. Now, the third reason why you can't write a good value proposition is that you simply don't know where to start, because we often start by writing, right? We need to write something, so we start by writing. But to write a good value proposition, that's the final piece of the puzzle. What you need is a different starting point. Here is a good one. Find a market gap. Now, a market gap is something that your competition is doing really poorly that you can exploit to attract users. And if we just start with an example, right? Take a look at the automotive industry. You have cars for every customer, right? You have luxury cars, you have Ferraris, Porsches, Lamborghinis. You have cheap cars like Skodas. You have cars for people who don't want to think about cars at all. They just want something to drive them from point A to B, which is, Volkswagen. You have cars for people who want something reliable, like Toyotas. You have a Nissan Skyline R43 with a twin-turbo RB26 DTT engine. What you didn't have until Tesla came around was a car that brings technology into play. So, if you wanted a car that has a 32-inch big screen TV in front of you instead of a steering wheel, that's Tesla for you. That's the market gap that Tesla found and filled. So, basically they came in, they saw that, people love gadgets. People want to play around with technology. People are using technology every day. People are using computers every day, screens every day. Let's put that into cars. People want that. So what's the gap in your industry? What are the competitors doing wrong? What can you exploit? How can you be the best at something that's not done yet? Now here is how to actually get to a market gap. You need to find, and we do this with the clients all the time, you need to map your competitors, find their weaknesses and exploit that. Now, you can easily find the weaknesses by going through their reviews. So basically you can just check what the people are complaining about when it comes to your competitors. You can go to G2 or Capterra, you can read the reviews, and you can understand, there is a lot of people complaining about that single point. That's your market gap. Now, once you have that market gap, so you can see that, there is a company that does this, but they do something else really poorly, right? You have, Salesforce does this really well, but, their onboarding system is crap. Or their integration system is crap. So how can we create the best onboarding system for our users and basically take the people who are using Salesforce or are thinking about using Salesforce, but want a good onboarding process and position yourself as that. So how can we do that? So you can position yourself as the best at something from a market gap. Now, once you have this market gap that you can fill, so, crap onboarding, we do the best onboarding. And then we position the company around that, right? So you want to become known as the software with the best onboarding in the world. That's then your value proposition. The value proposition now basically writes itself, right? So your value proposition in this case should be something like saying the easiest software to onboard your team in the market, right? Create a landing page, drive people to the page, see if it works. If it works, that's your value proposition. Simple as that. You can there make it artsy, you can make it a bit nicer, but that's your basic value proposition. So only here is where the writing actually starts. So when you have the data that you can base your writing on, it's going to be easy to do the writing part. But if you're trying to come up to the value proposition with nothing, with no foundation, you're going to struggle. So, base your value proposition on actual data, on your client interviews, on your product data, on social listening, on the market gap, on the competitor mistakes. And when you have that data, it will be really easy to write your value proposition. It will practically write itself. Now, if you need a template to find the market gap, I'm sharing one in the description below. And next, you need to create marketing materials from your value proposition so that's what we're going to be talking about in the next section of this video. Some of my clients come to me with a problem. We know we need to update the website because it's not working, but we don't know how to write the copy for it. How can we, convert more people from the website? How can we make it more optimized? How can we make it work? Well, here is the short answer. You should start with the website redesign with your value proposition in mind. Your value proposition is the key to a successful website. If you don't have a killer value proposition that's been tested on the market, if you don't know how to close the client live, it's going to be difficult to close them online, right? So if you don't have a killer value proposition yet, go back into the previous chapter, because if you redo the website without knowing what to say on the website, you'll just have to redo it again once you do know what to write about, right? And that's not lean. And we want to be lean as a startup, don't we? So once you have a value proposition, you still need to turn that into a your website copy, right? So here is my favorite way of doing that. Take the value proposition, place it on a banner. That's your promise to the client, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily unique. Keep it simple. What's the user trying to achieve? That's your value proposition, right? I mentioned that before. Your value proposition is your promise to the customer. So we will bring you this is good enough for the banner, is good enough because it just needs to hook the user to, read more of your website. All right, simple enough. Next, you need to build your differentiation through unique selling points, right? Usually through a combination of features and benefits. Now, most startups that I see, that I check their websites, do the mistake on focusing either too much on the benefits or too much on the features, because there is such a thing as having too much benefits or too much features on the website. Focusing too much on the benefits usually results in the user not understanding what the product is about, basically how it works. Focusing on features, on the other hand, won't attract users at all because, we are not really interested in the features, we're interested in the benefits. You need a combination of both. For example, stay on top of your follow-ups with our AI-powered notification system. Right? You can see that we are using a feature, AI-powered notifications, with the benefit that the user gets from the feature, right? So stay on top of your follow-ups. This helps user not just see the benefit, but also understand how we're getting to the benefit. It builds credibility, right? I'm gonna give you an example that we did with one of my clients. This is one of the landing pages that we were using to test the new positioning for a client of mine. And this is, I think, how the landing pages should be structured if you're testing positioning. So you have your value proposition on the main banner. So the user, when they come to the website, they immediately see the value proposition. So what's your promise to the customer? In Elia's case, we expand that with, what will it help you achieve? Now, in case they miss this subtitle, we also put it in the second section of the website. And then the next thing, here is where normally you'll have a benefit and a feature. In Elia's case, the product is new. It's basically a new category of a product, so we needed to explain it a bit more. We need to focus a bit on the features. We needed to explain how it works. But basically you have, this is how we'll get you to the value proposition, to the promise that we made you on the main banner, right? So we'll help you find useful words, we'll mark them up for you. You'll be able to look up new words and you'll be able to practice them and save them for later. So basically, this is how we're getting you to the value proposition. Now, next, we have a call to action. So if you're convinced by now, just add it to Chrome. And if not, here are the testimonials of people who used Elia, and basically the testimonials need to support the story as well. So this is how that looks like in practice. Now, you need to make sure that the USPs are unique. So they build your differentiation. They should all tell the story of how you're going to deliver the value that you promised in your banner, in your value proposition, right? So think about it like a story that you have throughout the landing page. So this is how, this is what we're helping you achieve. And then this is how we're going to do it. And this is how we're doing it in a unique way. You can only get this from us. If you go to a competitor, it has a different way. It's not going to be as good as our system. And after that, you want to, of course, support all of that with testimonials saying, hey, this helped us. Testimonials, case studies, quotes, all similar supporting texts and images. Now, keep in mind, this is just a template, right? You need to figure out what's important for your clients as well. If your customers make decisions based on your credibility and your strongest assets are nice logos of big trustworthy clients that you have, you should definitely put that on top to help you sell. If your strongest asset is, your one feature that no one else has, you should definitely emphasize and lead with that. So as always, test both ways. Test it internally towards your assets, where are we the strongest, and test externally towards the users. What do the users want? What do the users need? What do they want to achieve? Writing your website becomes relatively easy when your product is well positioned. Feel free to use my startup positioning framework on Miraverse to do that. It's available for free. I'll share the link in the description to that as well. And that's it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, don't dislike the video. Click all the buttons except the not like one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of this. So, let me know in the comments whether you like the content, don't like the content, what would you want more of. And yeah, see you next time. May your customers love you and understand your products.